Michelle. Thank you. Whether you're joining us on Zoom or Facebook, I think today's talk is going to be important no matter what business you're in, no matter how big, how small, where your business is. This is an important discussion because customer service and the customer experience is something that we all tend to know the importance of, but we tend to forget the importance of, especially as we start to grow. So those of you watching this, if you just take a couple seconds and think to yourself, if I asked you, when was the last time you could remember great customer service or a great experience for yourself? And if I asked you that, you might be able to think of maybe one or two scenarios, right? Something really recent. But if I were to ask you, tell me of a bad experience, tell me of bad service, I'm going to guess you're going to come up with two, three, four, five, tons of instances. And why is that? Well, sadly, it's because it's few and far between these great instances, right? And even though every business and most likely you listening understand the importance, it just doesn't get executed on. And that could be for a lot of reasons, things we're going to talk about today. But again, it's so important. And in today's world, as we've all known with COVID, it's taught us a lot of things, multiple lessons more than have to do with this presentation. But the big thing it taught us was, if you're a business, no matter if it's just you, a solopreneur, or you have hundreds of staff, loyalty is the name of the game. And with COVID, we saw that if you had a loyal base, you survived, and you're going to thrive now as we move out of this into the future. But if you didn't have that loyal base, you really struggled, and you're probably still struggling right now. And loyalty comes down to what we're talking about, and that's customer service and the customer experience. So that's why this is so important. I think the first thing we tend to do as business owners is just put all of our efforts and dollars into the next person, right? That next customer. And this time right now, we need to be conserving a lot of those dollars. So instead of focusing on spend, which you definitely need to market, don't get me wrong, but what if we spend more time, not necessarily monetary money, but just our own time and efforts on that base of customers that we currently have, right? Those loyal ones that are going to stick with us, that if you had that base, stuck with you here during COVID. So that's what we're going to talk about today is, let's pull away from just always chasing that next customer. Who's the next one? Where can I get the next person? Next sale. Very, very important. It's the lifeblood of business, but we can't forget about those very important customers that are right in front of us that we currently have. Okay. And when we're looking at customer service and the customer experience, there's 4 big R's that when you're nailing it on those things, that will happen to your business. And that's, you're going to get more revenue, right? People that are loyal are going to spend more money with you. So instead of having to get more people to make more money, now you're just getting the ones you have spending more money. You're going to get more reviews. And in today's world, everybody is looking on the internet to see reviews, whether it's Yelp, Angie's List, this, that. You're looking at your social media, they want to see reviews. So it's going to help you get better reviews. It's going to help with your retention. Doesn't matter how many new leads you're getting into your business. If you don't keep people, it's not gonna matter, right? It's the cup with the hole at the bottom. You just keep putting water in, and that water just keeps coming out. So you're going to get better retention. And then, the lifeblood of most small businesses, you're going to get more referrals. And generally, when people refer people to you, they're usually pre-qualified and they're an easier close, right? Because they've been referred. So they have some familiarity. So those are the big important 4 R's: reviews, retention, referrals, and revenue. So that's what we're really trying to drive home here with this whole customer service talk, right? And why it's so important.
Hey,
So before we get in, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to, we had talked before you had asked about industries, and there's people on Facebook who shared those. So travel, accounting, law, clothing store, embroidery store, and restaurant are ones
Okay.
that have. We also have a comment from Facebook.
Yes.
We only stay consistent within our business by going back to folks who spend money with us. We check in with them and it works really well. So I think that's
Awesome.
kind of you're getting at with that retention piece. And
Yeah, it's not forgetting about those people that you're already with. And sometimes you can use it as almost a good example is like a relationship, right? If you're married or dating somebody, uh, focus on them. Don't always look at, well, hey, the next best thing could be here. Like that's going to get you in trouble in multiple ways. But it's just focusing on the one that's right there, right in the now. So, um, but yeah, it sounds like we have a bunch of different industries. So here's the thing. A lot of stuff that we're going to talk about could be things that you already know. And you're like, hey, I'm doing these things. But maybe it's you just need that friendly reminder today, or you used to do everything we talk about 5 years ago, but you're not doing it today. Some of you listening, you might not be doing any of this stuff, or just not consistently. So either way, hopefully be able to pull a little piece here. So let's kind of get down to how you solopreneur or a business with a team can execute and kind of get that service culture, in which number one, it's going to start with leadership. And I'm going to guess most of you on this call listening are either the owner or if not upper management close to that owner. And here's the thing, the buy-in has to start with you if you are the owner and operator. If you're the manager, high level management, you have to have the buy-in, but you have to get the ownership to have the buy-in, because again, you saying customer service is important for your business and then actually acting on it are two different things. So in my world, everybody says in fitness, they want to get in really good shape, right? It's easy to say, yeah, eating healthy is important. I want to get in shape, but are they actually doing the things that'll help them? So same with this. You can say, of course, customer service is important, right? None of you are going to tell me it's not important, but your actions speak louder than words. Are you doing everything with your team, the way you carry yourself, the way you act? Are you doing the things that scream, it's important to me and my business? So that's what I would tell you. Number one is you've got to put people over profits, because if you put the people first, and people meaning team and your customers first, then that profits come. Like we said, your revenue will increase. So got to put people first, not the bottom line, then the people, because then we know where your importance lies. And as we mentioned, you got to make money to stay in business, but you can do that with that people first mentality. So as the leader, have that people first mentality, and then you got to talk the talk and walk the walk. So if you're preaching to your team, hey, we need to be using people's names, we need to be doing this, this, and that, but then they see you not really doing those things, well, what are you going to expect from your team? They're not going to do them either, because you're saying one thing, but not actually doing it yourself. So got to have that mindset, and then you actually have to display these behaviors. If your business doesn't have a service, say not a mission statement, but some sort of service statement, service vision statement. What are you about? What do you want yourself, if you're a solopreneur, or your team? What's the vision for the service, right? And it could be part of your mission statement, your vision statement. It could be something different. If you're like, what the heck are you talking about? I don't have any of these things in my business. That's for another talk. But you definitely need to have some sort of vision of how you want people to feel when they interact with your business, no matter how small, how big. What does that feel like? And then once you create that, you as the leader now need to push this, not push it, but now bring it to your team, and then it gets carried through those other people. Because right now, if you're just a solopreneur, you do your own thing, that's great. But most business owners want to grow. And when you're going to grow, you're going to need others. It can't just be, well, Rhonda is great at service, but what happens when she hires that next person and the next person, and then when she's not always there? So that's not where the next part of this comes into place. And probably the hardest part for business owners is this next thing we're going to talk about, which is the team aspect. You as the leader, leadership, you got this down. Customer service mindset, you're going to put importance to it. And then what happens? We don't hire the right people. And then that next chain of command fails. And unless we're in our business 24/7, we're making all the calls, we're making all the sales, it loses that not mindset, but culture that we created. So when we're looking at hiring, hey, we all know small business owners, hiring is probably the hardest thing that we do, to find quality people and then to keep those people. But you have to treat your people as well as you're going to treat your customers, because if you expect them to treat your customers at a certain level and you're not treating them that way, well, there's no way they're going to then treat the customer that way, right? So if you say, hey, you got to treat them with respect, use their names, do this, but then you're not doing that, you're just not going to get what you want. Okay. So number one, you got to treat your team how you want them to treat your customers. But when we're looking at hiring, a common mistake for businesses is if we want to hire service-minded people, you have to go always traits over skills when we're hiring. Don't get me wrong, there's industries where you have to have certain skills, right? You're not going to just hire somebody for a doctor position just because they have a great personality and they don't know what they're doing performing a surgery. Of course, I think Rhonda said we have an attorney on here. You got to have practiced law and pass the bar and everything. But generally speaking, when we're looking at who we're hiring, we should always put traits first before skills, because most skills can be taught, especially within your business, right? No matter what business you're in, but you can't teach people to be nice, to care, to have that personality that's going to work well with your customers. So if you're just simply a resume reader or look at the skill set first, you got to go about it the other way. Look at those traits first. And, some of the common things, are they empathetic, right? Can they communicate well? Look at their past history, where they worked. Did they have any issues there? When you ask them about, give me an example of a previous workplace, what you did for a customer, or a time where you delivered great experience. Try to look for, okay, this has been done in the past. They seem like they're empathetic. They seem like they communicate well. They just have this kind of glowing people first kind of personality. And I want to say there's not magic to it. You can usually tell just by chatting with somebody, okay, this person's definitely not going to be a people type first person, which might be okay for some roles, but not for many of those roles that, they're going to be facing customers on a regular basis. So look for that. And then once we hire those right people, the next area that business owners tend to make that mistake is the onboarding. Okay, when you train them up. And the most important thing here is you need to be doing it. So if you're a business of 2, 3, 4, or 100, you should be in this part of the onboarding, at least maybe not the whole time, but at least the beginning of it, or very, very high up upper management. Because again, if it's this important and that new employee doesn't see you now essentially, at the top of the mountain leading the charge, it's how is it that important, right? So you should be present. Those first couple of days on the onboard, throw out the technical side of it. Throw out, this is how you do your job. It should be all simply culture based. What's your business? How did it get started? Is there a great story behind it? What do you guys believe in? What's the service culture like? Talking about all those type things, the core values, and then talking about what's their role in delivering this service to your customers. Zero talk about, this is how you cash somebody out with the register. This is how you wait a table. This is how you talk with a client and work their case. None of that. It's just simply, we're talking culture. We're talking expectations from a service standpoint. Zero talk about how to actually do your job. Because that stuff, they're the most impressionable, a new hire, during those first couple of days. So you really want to be teaching them about that culture that your expectation is. There's a thing called, I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this, called somebody's service aptitude, which is basically their ability to deliver customer service, if you will. And there's 3 different places that people get this from. And it's their life experiences, which, let's face it, in a lot of our businesses, our frontline employees, not always, aren't at that same age or demographic financially as a lot of our customers. So they don't necessarily have that experiences with higher end brands, things like that. It's their work experience, which we've already talked most businesses don't do a good job with customer service. So that's probably not, they're not going to have it from there. And then third is going to be their current life experience or job experience, which that's you. You're in charge of that. You can control that. So that's why it's so important that you make it all about service those first couple of days. And then not just then, but as things move on. So if I'm like, hey, I gave a 5-hour training to Rhonda all about our service culture, why it's so important, what's her role in it, how it affects customers with her role in it, and then we never talk about it again, that's going to get lost. So not only do you have to make it the focus, but then now moving forward, it has to be that focus. One-on-one meetings, team meetings, reviews, it's constantly the number one focus. Even if it's just a little bit of that meeting, it's on service. It's on focusing on that culture. So that's the key. You have to teach it, and then you have to keep them accountable and reinforce that. And that also is when you see behaviors that you want to see from a service standpoint, to reinforce it, but to reward that. You know what, everyone in the meeting, you should have seen Rhonda the other day. We had a customer who was just blowing up there, going crazy, and you should have seen how she handled it. She did this, this, and that. We gotta show her some love. Again, showing that, hey, this is important. See how we're talking about it to everybody. So it constantly is in that top of the mind for your team. So that's kind of the big thing with the team. So now you, the leaders, have that right mentality. Now you're hiring the right people who now can carry out your vision and that service culture that you want, right? And now comes the systems and the strategies. Okay, these are kind of the fun stuff. Like, what should you be doing on a regular basis? Number one,
Well,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, but before you move on to the next one, there's a couple of questions or
Oh
comments
yes, go ahead.
that you just covered. The first is, I'm a manager of a small mom and pop store, and it's like pulling teeth to get the owners on board for some reason. They've given me full reign to do what needs to be done, but I want them to walk the walk. They're very well known within our community, and so it's really important. Do you have any pointers for how to work with, ownership and getting them on board?
Yeah, and I want to say unfortunately, but as we mentioned, they have to be on board, because if they're not, again, if it's not coming from the top, the employees aren't going to feel that, and it's going to be really tough. You might be able to do some little things tactically that get the ball rolling, but if up top they're not always making that first. So I would honestly say the best thing would be to just sit down with them, talk, and kind of like what we're talking about, showing them why it's important. Like, let's get some stats. Let's talk about, like, break it down. This is the importance, which, would be a conversation for another time. But whoever that was, if they want to email me, we could talk more about that. But I would say you just have to have a sit down with them and kind of say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what we want to do. Not telling them what they're doing is not right, but this is how we can make it even better, how we can grow even more. As a business owner, we just want to know how can, right, I usually make more money or grow. So if you can make it about that, put it in that perspective, you'll get their attention.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. There's another one, and this might be where you're going with this next section, but for our business, we have to trust that our salespeople are delivering good customer service. How do we know, and what metrics should we be using? We get very few complaints. So is that the only goal, or is there something else we should be doing?
If that person's talking about, essentially, it sounds like, well, how do you know if Rhonda is actually delivering great service within my business? One, you have to kind of put yourself in your customer's shoes and be a customer of your own business. So that might be you or somebody else makes phone calls, secret shops, just to see, okay, well, maybe it's not necessarily as good as I think it is. And they'll tell you that most people actually won't tell you that you're doing a bad job, right? Either A, because they don't think you're going to do anything about it, or, whatever, they don't want to be bothered with it. Instead, they'll go tell their friends and family to never go do business with this person rather than tell you. So just because you don't hear it doesn't mean it's not there. So I would say secret shop, be your own customer to see if, okay, wow, I thought this was locked up, maybe not so much. Talk to your customers, you know, buy them coffee, call them, whatever the case may be. Really find out. You could do surveys, but sometimes people aren't going to fill those out and be super honest. But those would probably be your best bets. To shop it, talk to the customers, and run a survey so you can really see.
Great.
Anything else?
Nope, that catches us up. Thanks.
Okay. And we'll leave a couple more minutes at the end too. Okay, so now we're at the strategies and the systems part of it. And not to backtrack, but here's the thing too, those of you listening, the bar is set really low, no matter what business you own or manage right now and you're listening. All industries, the bar is set here. So you don't have to be perfect in anything that we're talking about. You simply just being a little bit better than the rest of the competition is going to be ginormous, because the bar is set so low, you'll stand out just by simply being just a little bit better than them. So don't think, oh man, I got to be perfect and we got to be spot on with all this. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to be a little bit better, right? Okay, so strategies and systems. There's a lot to get into. We won't have time to get it all, but what kind of things are you doing from your business standpoint that are going to deliver more wow moments, bring more value? Great thing to do no matter what business you're in is something called surprise and delight. This is something that the Ritz-Carlton, famous for their customer service, they empower their employees basically to spend $2,000 on a guest at any moment's notice. They don't have to ask management. They don't have to get it okayed. If it's going to delight the guest, if it's going to be a wow moment, they have that power. And we all want to strive to be the best in our business. Now, we're not the Ritz-Carlton in terms of size and brand, but that doesn't mean we can't borrow some of those things that those brands do. So what I highly suggest you do, much like them, is budget for yourself within your business a surprise and delight budget. And this could be, doesn't have to be $2,000 like they do. It could be $100 a month. For my gyms, it's $250 a month, because that's what our average client pays us per month. So that's why we spend that amount. But for you, it could be $20, $1,000, $500, whatever. But here's the thing, with that budget, you have to spend it every month. It's not, well, we'll use it to do this, to do that. No, you're only spending it on surprise and delight. And what is that? Well, some examples of that could be, you have a customer that something goes wrong and you have to make it right. So it might be you having to replace whatever they had or something along those lines. Surprise and delight is during COVID, when everybody was locked in their house, depressed, down, unhappy, have no human connection with brands, we went and hand delivered a gift basket with a bunch of healthy snacks, wrote a little note and said, hey, this is your COVID survival kit of healthy snacks since we can't see you in the gym. Left them on people's front porch, rang the doorbell, kind of ding dong ditched them, if you will. And they came out and they got a little care package that was personalized to them. So that's an example, right? Now that might work for your business, might not. It could be simply just spending more time with a customer or client of yours that normally only gets an hour with you, and it's something very important. Maybe you give them your time. So it's not always something monetary. It could be birthdays, right? Someone's got an important anniversary and you send them flowers, you send them this surprise gift. Maybe I know Rhonda is a huge Cubs fan, and let's backtrack, pretend it was the World Series, and I just randomly out of nowhere send her this really cool plaque that was autographed by all the players on the championship team. No reason other than I know she's a big fan and she's a great customer. I sent it to her because it's personalized and it means something to her. So that's unexpected. That's going to be surprise. That's going to delight her. So what can you do with your customers on a monthly basis? And again, every month that you must spend, and you want to empower your team to do this. They don't have to ask for your permission. Trust me, they're not going to just start giving people stuff left and right, but you need to let them know that they can do that without having to ask you. And that's the important thing, because you're not going to be there 24/7 for every single interaction. So that's surprise and delight. How about handwritten notes, cards? It's super old school, but here's the thing, most people don't do it anymore. So again, when we're talking about the bar is low, you can simply stand out by writing handwritten notes. If you think about yourself, when you get the mail, you run up to the mailbox, you pull out that mail. What's the first thing you do? Junk, trash. What do you literally throwing stuff? But the minute you see something handwritten, it stops you in your tracks. All of you listening, when you see handwritten your name, your address, you stop, and I guarantee that's the first thing you open. So picture your customers now getting something like that from you. It's guaranteed to be open, guaranteed to put a smile on their face, guaranteed they're going to talk about it, because I highly doubt other businesses that they go with are doing this. So what are good ways to do this? New clients, somebody starts doing business with you, you should do that automatically. Now you might say, well, I have hundreds or thousands of new clients or customers. Well, you might have somebody else on your team, your intern, whoever does this. How can you make it more efficient? Get a stack of branded cards, and let's be honest, you could have the same message. Thanks for doing business with us. We appreciate you as a customer. And then all you do is you add Rhonda's name at the top, you sign it, Hank and H4 team, so-and-so, boom, it goes out. So you can make it more efficient. When are some other good times to be doing this? Maybe if somebody has an unexpected, maybe death or loss in their family, or a big anniversary we talked about. Other times like that are less expected are some other times that you can do this. The holidays are a great time to do handwritten cards. So it takes a little bit more time. And yeah, now there's services where you can get what looks like handwritten cards done, but it's actually digital. That's nice. It's better than the alternative, but it's still not as good as that handwritten. So especially those of you that have smaller businesses, that should be a given, because it's a lost art and it will always stand out no matter who you're dealing with. Another thing we want to do is something called the 3-2-1 system. And this is something that yourself or your managers can do. And this is about building relationships. So what you want to do is each week, if you can, if that's asking too much, every 2 weeks or at the very least once a month, send out 3 emails, write 2 handwritten cards or postcards or anything, notes, and then 1 text or call. So 3 emails, 2 notes of some sort, 1 text or call to your customers, non-sales related, just simply relationship building. Rhonda, it was great to see you the other day. I hope things are going well for you. Miss seeing you in the store. Or, hey, it's been a while since we've chatted. Just wanted to see how you and your kids are doing. Whatever the case may be, make it about your business and them and the relationship, but 0 about sales, because you don't want it to just turn into, oh yeah, look, they're just messaging me for this reason. It's simply top of mind relationship building. So that's a good way to keep a pulse on everyone and continue to grow and get that touch point of, oh, hey, they're paying attention to me. Oh, look, I'm not even there. I haven't done business with them in a couple weeks, months. They still message me. They still talk to me. Those other guys don't do that. Those other women don't do that. So something to do called the 3-2-1 system. I wish I could give credit to who I learned that from, but it's a great system to implement within your business. Again, you or your management can do it. Other things we want to do is reduce friction points. We talked about being a customer in your own company and business, right? Walk through those steps. What's it like when they initiate that initial phone call with your business? What's it like when they walk into your brick and mortar? What's it like then when they purchase? What's it like when they leave? What's it like with the normal interactions? And then when you're doing this, where are those pain points that could be inconvenient, annoying, unnecessary, things that just making doing business with you very difficult or not ideal? So to give you an example, local woman I know who owns an interior design business. In interior design, when she works with clients, they could be getting a couch, a TV, a dresser, a rug, all these things coming. And if you ever gotten furniture delivered or worked with an interior designer, it can be a lot of stuff, right? You got to move things around. Then you got this 4-hour window for someone to drop off. A week later, you got another 4-hour. It's annoying, right? It disrupts your day. That's not fun. And it should be a fun experience because you're getting new, nice things. So what she did was say, my clients don't like this. It's annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold all of these items myself. And then once I get them all, I'm going to then deliver them all in one shot. So now instead of wasting multiple hours of multiple days cleaning, organizing, waiting for movers, one day, one window, here you go. Here's all your stuff. Talk about solving a problem, reducing an annoyance with a business. And then on top of it, she says, then we pop some champagne. So not only did I just make a normal scenario better, but now I just made it even better because now we're celebrating it and you're happier. So that's just one example. But with your own business, you probably can just sit there and go through things. Okay, that would probably be a little bit annoying. This is unnecessary. Do I need this policy? Probably not. Let's cut this out. So the only way for you to do that, though, is to actually walk in those customers' shoes and think, okay, where are these points? Because you as the business owner probably think your business is perfect and everything's great. But until you put yourselves in those shoes, you'll really understand where I can make those changes. So those would probably be your big tactics. Last one we'll talk about here is gift giving. I'm going to guess a lot of you give gifts. I know in some industries you can't or you're limited to what you can do, especially in some of the medical fields. But what I would tell you is you better at least be gifting your customers, your clients, something during the holidays. If you're not, that's like an automatic, right? If you're not doing that, you're below the line. So you have to at least be doing that to be playing with everybody. If not, you're below. Another opportunity is Christmas in July, right? Why not just randomly gift? And it kind of goes with surprise delight during the middle of the year. It's unexpected. Nobody else does it. Your competitors don't do it. Now, when I say gift, it doesn't have to be $1,000 item. This could be something under $20, under 15, but it's the thought that counts. And it doesn't matter how many clients you have. Maybe if you have such a large amount, you might have to limit it to maybe your longest standing clients, which is fine. But most of you on this call probably have a smaller client base. Give them something, right? And the key with gifting is it's got to be personalized. If it's just here's my business with a logo, here's my mug, that's about you. That's a you gift. Yeah, they love your brand, but that's not really a gift for them, right? That's here, take my mug and maybe you'll show it to your friends and stuff like that. What's better is something that they might actually want, right? And they're actually going to use, and they're more likely then to talk about those things about your brand because of that. And that kind of ties in with that surprise and delight. If Michelle here is a great cook and she loves cooking, I might gift her a really nice knife that I know she's going to use. Well, guess what? It has nothing to do with my brand and my logo, but she cooks almost every night. Guess what she's going to use? That knife. Guess who she's going to think about? Me and my business. So even without branding it, she's thinking about my business because it was personalized to her versus, oh, thanks for the cups. Okay, I'll put it in with 50 of my other cups. Maybe I'll look at it once a year, right? So you're going to get more lost in the shuffle giving those. Now, there's a time and place for giving those type of things to customers, but from a true gifting standpoint, that's not about them. That's about you. So any questions on strategies or systems? And we could get into 1,000 of them, but those are just a couple.
Well, they're really good ideas, first of all. So thank you for sharing those. We do have a couple questions. Can you ever overcomplicate this process of improving customer service? She's like, it might be a weird question, but as a business owner, are you saying we should be doing all of these things or just pick and choose something to help us
Yes.
out?
So, well, the most important thing is is the mindset from the leadership, getting the team, right? Because if you accomplish those things, naturally your service and the experience will improve just from that, because it's about the people, right? So now if that's in line, you can just start doing some of these things, right? Even just to start with one of them, because if, like anything in life, again, not to relate back to fitness, but that's my realm. If you quit eating fast food, quit drinking too much, quit having sugar, you start telling people to do all these things, what happens? They fail too much. So just focus on one. And then when you feel proficient at it, you or your team, both, then start adding those other elements to it. But don't feel like, oh my gosh, I got to do all this. Too much. Just start with one. But tactics and all this needs to come after the leaders on board and after the right team, else it won't matter. It'll just be a short-term fix.
Well, I also think that the empowerment piece of it, to let people pick and choose, that's really important too. Like set a budget, but then, letting your people kind of figure out how they want to implement that is probably a good idea because they're maybe closer to it potentially.
Yeah, and it's a trust thing. In Ritz Carlton, people hear that and they go, "Oh my goodness, I would never give my team $2,000 to spend." Well, the guy that founded Ritz Carlton, former CEO, he said, "Hey, they're not going to be sitting there just dishing out $2,000. You have to have trust and understand that you might think that as the owner, but that's not going to happen. So if that's one of your fears, that won't happen."
Do you think it's more of a trial and error? Some of the businesses said that they've tried a few things and they're not really sure that they got anything out of it.
In terms of what like some of these tactics.
Yeah, I think so. That's how I read the comment.
Yeah, so if we both read it right, customer service, the reason why businesses aren't really strong at it is because it's a long-term game, right? It's not a, hey, I run an ad, I get somebody, they come in, oh, I got money. Awesome. It's instant gratification. Customer service is the long game. You might not see the return, the ROI on it for weeks, months, years, because it takes time to drip through. And now all of a sudden Rhonda becomes a loyal customer. And now 5 months from now, she refers 4 of her best friends. I didn't see that right away, but it took time to build, because all of this we're talking about is relationships. And as we know, with anything in life, relationships don't happen overnight. So you have to build and cultivate them. So just know that customer service is a long-term play, that you can't just be looking around the corner. Okay, when am I going to see the results from this? It's got to take a little bit of time, and it's consistency, really.
Someone had a question about the surprise and delight.
Yes.
Is that something you typically do just for customers who aren't happy, or is there like a lucky winner that you choose, or what kind of?
No, so it's definitely not just ones that are unhappy, because what about the ones that are happy and love doing business with you? They'll be, if they don't feel appreciated, right, they'll leave. Um, so there's no calculated way to do this. It's just simply opportunities that you might see, right? You're doing business with somebody, you know, face to face, maybe, or over Zoom, and you notice, man, they just seem off lately. There's something going on with them. You find out maybe they had a really bad loss in their family. Well, then I'm just right online. I'm sending them something right away, some sort of card and flowers. I didn't plan for that. It just, that moment presented itself. Um, again, in our business, we had a woman come in once and she was just totally off her normal self. And we found out she just didn't simply have her coffee that morning. Her kids were driving her crazy. She had this big presentation, and without her coffee, that was like her lifeblood. She was just completely off. So while she was working out, one of our trainers went to Starbucks. We knew her order because, again, that relationship. And when she got done with the workout, her drink was sitting on the desk with her name ready to go. So not planning for that. That was just one of our trainers understanding, hey, this could be a perfect opportunity. And what did that woman do? 2 hours later, she was on Facebook with a picture of the coffee mug. My gym does this, blah, blah, blah. So little opportunities. So I would say don't calculate it. It just has to be organic, and you just see these moments and you go for it.
I think that's when it's so important that you've trained your staff to think that way, because they are the front lines that are going to see those opportunities maybe more than you as owner. But you as owner have to be that person to let that be okay for them to go spend that money,
Yes.
or so. That makes a lot of sense. Someone asked, do you have a written out plan for businesses to go off of to start developing these skills within our team?
In terms of what, just I'm not sure, are they asking for a plan or are they saying for their business to write a plan?
It's hard to say. Let's see. Well, maybe it
Whoever,
is not.
we'll say that whoever that is, when we get done, shoot me an email. We can talk about that, clarify that, or at the end here.
It, do you have a list of skill sets or things to look for when putting the proper team together? That's the
Okay,
hiring.
so maybe like qualities of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say whoever that is, if you want to shoot me an email, just so we can keep moving along, I'd be happy to give some of those for sure. Um, is that it, question wise?
Uh, there were some really neat comments earlier, and I just didn't want to interrupt you, but I think when you were talking about uh, the surprise and delight stuff, that in the handwritten notes part, that people really, that resonated with them. Like someone
Okay.
said, insurance um, broker, always does that, like for birthdays or anniversaries, remember those things. And it really is a memorable kind of thing to them, and something that I'm sure breeds loyalty in people. Another one said that after every sale, we write a handwritten thank you note, and that they learned that from their grandfather, which is so cute. My parents were sticklers about like always writing a thank you note and stuff when you got things. So I do agree with you that it's sort of a lost art. My kids have, like, when they do that, they more text people. It's better than nothing, but I do
Yeah. And,
say
a
in
lot of stuff we're talking about, we're not talking about like, computer coding here or chemistry. This stuff isn't rocket science, but it's consistently doing these things and getting the whole team and everyone, the culture set. That's the difficult. That's the coding, the chemistry of it that's difficult. But the actual ideas, stuff we're talking about is not like, oh my goodness, what is this about? Handwritten note, but it's now, do I execute it consistently with me and my team? That's the difficult part.
Yeah, I think it shows an understanding of your customers' pain points, like you were talking about before. And it's actually really fun, I think, to do some of this stuff because it's really rewarding. I think most people truly do appreciate, like, they recognize when you've done something above and beyond. And it does make them feel special. And everybody likes that feeling. I don't care who you are,
Yeah.
it feels good that somebody's thinking about you. And I'll give an example. My parents were on their way to a dinner reservation, and they were in a car accident, and so they called the restaurant, and the restaurant sent flowers to that. Just like such a courteous. They certainly didn't have to do
Yeah.
that, but like they showed it to me. They took a picture and sent it to me on this. Like, look how nice this was, and it just, those little things do mean a lot.
And that could even be somebody calling your business and you can't service them or don't think it's a right fit, and you telling them where to go, maybe to even competitors, or making the call for them. Like, they're not going to expect that. um, I think it's Nordstrom, or I can't remember the famous retailer, where somebody called and said, hey, do you guys, it was a tire or something outrageous that they don't even sell, and essentially it was, can I return this? And they don't even sell it, but they're like, yeah, we'll take it back and we'll figure it out, just because we're service based. It has nothing to do with our business. So don't always think, we can't do this, we can't do that. What can you do for that person that you're dealing with, is kind of that mentality. One other thing we didn't mention, strategies and systems. How often do you appreciate your customers and clients? And that is it a yearly thing? Some businesses will do a customer appreciation day, month, whatever, and it tends to be a yearly thing. We do it once a year. Why not do it monthly, right? And this doesn't mean you throw a party every month. It could just mean something small. It could just be as simple as on your social media having a message from yourself or a video saying, hey, we just love all of our clients and customers. Thanks for being such great, blah, 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 customers us for the last 20 years, or whatever the case may be. It could just be as simple as a nice message like that. Social media, you email them, you could do a YouTube video, send the link. But I would be at least every month showing that appreciation for them, however you're going to do it. Not just, yeah, we do it every year or, a here and there type thing. Um, and then one of the other questions made me think, not to backtrack, but going back to your team, ask yourself this. And now if you're dealing with people in a one-on-one setting, it's way easier to do this, but if it's more large scale, it's a little bit harder. But you want to teach your team to build relationships, and a good acronym is FORD, FORD. And at a bare minimum, they say if you have a relationship with somebody, you should know their FORD, and that's family, F, occupation, O, R is recreation, and D is dreams. If you think about dreams, goals. At a bare minimum, you and your team, for someone you interact with, if you truly have that customer relationship, you should be knowing those things. And the way you can track that is CRM systems. If you don't want to invest in something like that, you could create your own system, but you need to have some method to build these relationships, retain the information, and then be able to use that information. So, that could be, hey, this couple, every time they come to my restaurant, like that's their absolute favorite spot to sit, and they come here all the time. That needs to be in your system, because you might know that, but now you have Jim, who's the brand new hostess, and here comes that couple that spends thousands of dollars a year, and they come in, and then that person doesn't seat them at their table that they love. It was open, doesn't do it, doesn't know. That just totally altered their experience, the consistency in that experience. So get the information, build that relationship, but then you need to retain it somehow and then use it. Use it in person, use it when we're surprising, delighting, understanding. Hey, Rhonda, I know she's a huge Cubs fan. That's going to help me now gift things for her. That's going to help me, talk to her and the interest that she likes. Michelle loves to cook. So now when I interact with her, I know that. So we're going to talk about cooking. So that's where all of this ties in and wraps together, if you will. Okay. And then really after that's kind of the big parts, right? Again, the mindset of the leader, you develop that service mindset. It's going to be priority, right? People first and the profits. Then you're going to hire that right team, train them, onboard them properly, making it all about the culture and service first. Then you're going to start implementing those systems and strategies. And then all those things put into place should start to get you that culture that you want, that service first culture. And really, if you gather anything from this whole talk, at the end of the day, it's you and your team just have to simply care more than your competition. And that seems very elementary and basic, but at the beginning or at the end of the day, it's that C word that you should always preach with your team, and that's care. Because people feel that. It's easy, again, to just, of course we care about our customers. Of course, who doesn't? That's easy to say, but really, do you care? Again, the actions versus words. So if you remember one thing, just remember that, which is just care more than your competition. And just that simple principle to always remember should get you on the right track. I think we'll leave it open for some more questions. If you have some specific questions, industry specific, and then before we end, I'll kind of have Rhonda shoot you guys my social media. If anyone wants to, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, tons of posts and videos on this topic on a daily basis. So please, if you want to follow me, I'd love to follow you too. It's always fun to connect with other business owners. Also have a Facebook group on customer service where other business owners and myself share tactics, strategies, things like that. And then if you do want to email me, I'll be happy to send you my book on service, which I think a couple of you asked certain qualities to look for, steps. I'll be happy to send you that. If you just want to shoot me an email and just simply put book in the subject line and your address, I'll be happy to send you that free of charge. But let's open it up for some questions.
Well, first of all, I see a comment. Thank you so much about sending them the book. That's super nice, really generous. And
yeah, hey, I'm a small business owner too, so I know all of us right now, if you're an owner, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride, but with COVID pandemic, it's times 10. So we're all in that stress boat. So anything we can do to better our business and service is definitely one of those easy ways to do it without spending too much money.
We do have a couple questions that have come in. One is the biggest struggle will be to get the entire team together on the same page. As a small business, I feel this is harder for us. If we were a big corporation, we could just say, hey, this is policy. Um, I don't know if you have a comment about that.
Yeah, I would actually respectfully disagree, because if you have a bigger business, it's even harder because now there's more moving parts. And a lot of times why service fails is because there's these different departments and they don't communicate, and one does it really well, the other doesn't, and then they don't understand how they all connect. So I think if you have a smaller business, it's easier. And so a couple things I would either say: one, make sure you have the right people on board. If you feel like these individuals aren't going to, say change, but get on board, you might need to look for others. But it comes back to the leader. You might, hey, this is now something that I want to start putting forward, and here's why. People want to know the why. Why all of a sudden do we need to write handwritten notes? Why do I have to use people's names? Why do I have to do this? Let them understand the why in the big picture, their role in it, and usually it's going to make it a little bit easier. And if they're not on board, you might have to get some new fresh blood in that will be on board.
Do you come into businesses to consult on this topic? And related to that, do you have a website on this topic, or is it more done through your social media pages?
More through social media, but yes, I do currently working with a restaurant in Naperville and a pet food store in Geneva. If you want, whoever that is, if you want to shoot me an email and just, say, hey, this is my business, something that you think you could do, just let me know. Oh, I lost you, Rhonda. I think you're on mute.
As many times as I've done these, you would think I would figure out the mute button. Anyway, sorry about that. Is there a delicate way to get this across to your team, or is it just cut and dry and you say, this is how it is and this is what we do?
Yeah, I think it's, again, very similar to that last question. It's nobody ever wants to be told this is how it is, right? If you think like when you're a little kid, if your parents say you're doing this and you're just do it, because that doesn't go over well. But if you're told why, uh, yeah, you still might disagree, but at least it helps, right? Okay, now I understand. So, hey, you're the owner. This is how you want to run your business. If these people aren't going to be on board and you can't help them understand the why and how it affects everything. Hey, if we don't treat people this way, our customers, and we don't grow, you guys won't have jobs. Like, I don't want that for you, right? Like, we need to grow. So that, again, take it from that angle about the why and how they're involved with it.
Great, thanks. I don't see any more questions. We're just getting really nice comments on you and your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
And again, if anybody, if you're on social media, love to follow you right back. It's Hank Ebeling on Instagram, Facebook, Hank Ebeling IV. You find me on LinkedIn under Hank Ebeling. And again, if you want to just shoot me an email, happy to send you a book. Or if you have questions, maybe on some coaching or things like that, just feel free to let me know.
We put your info on the Facebook page where this is running too. So
Okay.
Yeah, but it was also, I think we included that in the Eventbrite invitation and all of the other stuff too. So they should be able to find you.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're good. Unless you have anything else you want to add, I would just like to thank you so much for a great presentation and a lot of really, I love when there's takeaways, like there's tangible strategies or things that you shared that I think are low cost things that people can start to try and see how it works for them. So thank you.
Yeah. And, the only thing is, some of those questions coming through my mind here is, I guess we did forget to touch on social media. I know we got maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So just real quick, if your business has a social media page, responsiveness is key in general: phone, email, text. just simply being more responsive to people, you'd be blown away at how much that's going to create such a better effect to your customers. But on social media world, people expect even faster response times. So a lot of times, you get messages or comments, you have to be responsive. Now you need to set barriers, and that's okay. People understand you're a small business. You don't have 20 people working nonstop the phones and monitoring your social media, but you need to at least communicate, hey, between these hours, if you send us any comment, any message on social media, we will respond. But if you just don't do that and somebody messages you at 11 o'clock at night and you don't respond to 5 the next day, they're going to be pissed, annoyed. But if you communicate, okay, I get it. They're a small business. No, they don't have 50 people running the show. So just set those boundaries and then do make sure that you are being responsive as fast as possible, because a lot of people now are going to social media as an outlet to communicate, not only for reviews and things like that, but just to ask questions or to find out. So you want to make sure that that side of things from a service standpoint is just as important as the physical brick and mortar or over the phone, email, things like that. So I didn't want to leave that out.
No, I think that's really true. That's great. One last thing from my housekeeping end of it is I do want to remind everybody that we have recorded this and we will make it available on our website at nwbiz.net. It might take a day or two for us to get it out there, but it's under the news section, and you'll be able to access that recording there.
Yeah, hopefully everybody go today, go back to the office if you're in the office, figure out that surprise and delight budget and start start gifting away. Take care of some of your people.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hank. We really appreciate your time and it's such a great, helpful presentation. That was awesome.
Yes, thank you both. Everybody have a great day. Hopefully look forward to connect with as many of you as possible on social media.
Great. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's Friday, so hopefully we'll start to enjoy some warmer weather around the corner. And we hope to see you all back at a future networking event. And I guess that's it. We'll wrap it up and end it here. Thanks again, everybody.
All right, have a great day.
Bye bye.